the wedding the ancestors tried to stop. The drums of Allah had never betrayed its celebration. He has spoken through wars, drought, births, and burials, always steady, always obedient to human hands. But on this night, as the moon climbed and the wedding crowd gathered, the drums faltered, the beats stumbled, another died mid-echo. The sound collapsed into silence, so sudden it pressed against the ears like water. Conversations froze. Even the fire crackled less boldly, as if listening. The procession emerged from the forest path. The sacred one said, "No bride should walk unless the ancestors approved." Masked dancers led the way, their steps slow, deliberate, cowries whispering against their ankles like bones clicking in warning. Behind them came the bride, veiled in deep indigo, walking alone. No laughter followed her, no playful dance, only the hush of a village holding its breath. Mama Nkiru leaned on her staff and spat softly into the dust. When joy arrives quietly, she murmured, "Sorrow is already seated." Nearby, the chief priest felt a tightening in his chest. He had not felt since the year the river swallowed 3 children. He reached for his calabash of palm wine to steady himself, but his hands trembled. Obinna, the groom, stood tall near the ancestral shrine, beads gleaming against his skin, pride warming his spine. He saw only beauty, only destiny unfolding. He had waited long for a bride who matched his ambition. Adaeze, they said, was calm, respectful, untouched by village gossip. Perfect. As the bride stepped into the firelight, the wind rose without warning. Flames bent sideways. The veil lifted just enough for some to gasp. Others turned away, suddenly afraid of what they might see. A child began to cry, not loudly, but the sharp cry of instinctive fear. Then the ancestral gong struck once. No human hand touched it. And in that single sound, Allah understood that the wedding had already gone wrong. Adaeze had arrived in Allah 3 market weeks earlier, escorted by her aunt, a woman with eyes too knowing to belong fully among humans. The bride price had been flawless, yams unbruised, goats unblemished, cowries counted. Exactly. No bargaining, no jokes. That alone unsettled the elders. Marriage negotiations were where men measure each other's patience. Speed was arrogant. Adaeze herself spoke little. She greeted elders with the correct prostrations, learned the village taboos without being reminded, and avoided the sacred grove even when other women used it as a shortcut. She rose before dawn, fetched water silently, and never sang while walking. Some admired her discipline, others whispered that she was hiding something. Children sensed it first. They claimed the river Nkita swelled whenever Adaeze bathed, that fish followed her shadow, that frogs fell silent when she approached. Their mothers scolded them, but unease lingered like smoke that refused to clear. Obinna, however, saw mystery as refinement. He admired how Adaeze listened when others rushed to speak. On moonlight walks, she asked him questions about the village history, about old roads and forgotten shrines. When he asked about her parents, she answered carefully. "My mother taught me how to listen," she said once. "And your father?" "He taught me that promises do not dissolve just because they are inconvenient." Obinna laughed then, thinking it poetry. He did not know it was a warning. Meanwhile, the elders dreamed troubled dreams of brides crowned with river reeds, of shrines submerged at noon, of fish walking into the village square. The chief priest urged delay. Mama Nkiru begged them to consult the oracle again, but Obinna's father, proud and powerful, dismissed them. Allah had never postponed a wedding for shadows, he declared. The date stood, and the ancestors took notes. The river that knew her name, On the night before the wedding, while Allah slept beneath confident rose, Ada slipped from her hut. The moon guided her feet toward the river Ngita, whose surface glimmered like a living eye. She knelt at the edge and pressed her palms into the cold current. "I have come," she whispered. The river answered not with words, but with memory. The water thickened, the reeds parted, figures emerged, neither fully flesh nor fully spirit, crowned with flowing wings, eyes deep as droned history. The river ancestors. "You are late," they said as one. "I was delayed by human pride," Adaise replied. They reminded her of the bargain made long before her birth. Her human mother, barren and desperate, had begged the river for a child. The river agreed, but with a condition. The child would live among humans until marriage. On her wedding night, she would return or bind her husband to the river forever, sealing an ancient covenant. "You must choose," the ancestors want, and the village will hear the consequence. At dawn, Obinna woke from a dream of droning beneath wedding cloth. Something pulled him from his hut to the river bank, where he found Adaise rising from the water, hair wet, eyes bright with unshed tears. She told him the truth, not all of it, but enough to break him. "Run with me," he begged. "There are promises older than roads," she answered. When dawn broke, the wedding drums waited, and the river waited with them. The wedding rite began beneath a sky that darkened too quickly. As Adaise circled the fire, the wind bent the flames. The river crept closer, swallowing paths men had walked for generations. The chief priest chanted louder, as if volume could outrun destiny. Then Adaise stopped. She lifted her veil fully. "I stand at the edge of a vow older than this village," she said calmly. Panic erupted. Some shouted to cast her out. Others demanded sacrifice. Obinna's father accused the chief priest of sabotage. But the ground trembled, and the river rose higher, silencing them all. The river ancestors emerged before the entire village. They revealed everything: how Umwala had survived famine because the river spared them, how fish multiplied when children were fed, how blessings always demand remembrance. Adaise was not sent to steal a man, but to bind the village to gratitude. The greatest twist shattered pride completely. The marriage had never been about Obinna alone. It was about Allah choosing humility. The choice that changed a people. When the ancestors declared the terms, silence fell heavier than fear. If Adaise returned alone, the river will withdraw its favor. If Obinna followed her, Umwala will live, changed forever. Obinna stepped forward before anyone could stop him. "I will go." His father wept too late. Adaise wept openly. The river surged. Hand in hand, they entered the river. The drums resumed, not in celebration, but in mourning and reverence. The drought ended within days. Fish returned in abundance. Crops thrived. But Umwala was no longer careless with tradition. Dreams were listened to. Elders were consulted. Pride learned patience. A shrine rose by the river, not to command, but to think. Sometimes, at dusk, two figures could be seen beneath the surface, moving gently with the current. The story became law. Listen before you lead. Respect the promise before the price. And when the drum paused for a single breath at weddings, Umwala remembers the bride no one expected and the secret that saved them. Some secrets destroy villages, others save them. Which one are you carrying? Share your thoughts in the comments. Honor the lesson and subscribe for more powerful African folktales that still listen to the ancestors before the drums begin.